Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator, and I got some new little bitty lights. So this is probably going to expose all the blemishes on my face. Ew. Anyway, these are troubling times. It's been a while since I made a video, basically for my own mental health reasons. I mean, I could get on here at times and talk through that with everybody like a lot of other YouTube content creators do, but I've just been way too consumed with being isolated inside of being isolated. If you can understand that. And the explosion going on right now, the protests over George Floyd, and everything else linking back to basically Jim Crow era and slavery. Black people are a resilient people. We put up with a lot of shit in this country. And I still can't believe I can believe I served in the military, but the reasons why I did weren't patriotic in nature. I mean, at that age, the ripe old age of 19, I was upset that I didn't get to participate in the Vietnam War. I was too young by just a few years. Well, no, about 5 years. I think it ended in 1973. And I joined in, I enlisted in 1978. So yeah, 5 years had passed. I could have enlisted when I was 18. But I don't remember what was going on at the time that I didn't. Except I hadn't met Lalomi Washburn, who is the one who suggested and talked me into going into the military. She said to me, we had a very quick affair, and she said to me that I was wasting my life and I was too smart for what was going on. I was too smart to be that dumb in life, to get involved with a group of people that I shouldn't have been involved with, to be doing drugs, even though she didn't know I was doing them. But I'm pretty sure she guessed from the lifestyle that I was leading that I was in trouble. Anyway, I followed her advice, and by the time I did, I was 19, and I had, I enlisted delayed entry, moved to Los Angeles, and left for basic training from Los Angeles. Anyway, listen, if people think for 2 seconds that the revolution has started, think again. Perhaps if people are burning down 50 to 100 cities, it might start. But listen, this same thing happened in L.A. When Rodney King, when the pigs that beat up Rodney King were acquitted, riots broke out in Los Angeles. But see, that stuff blows over, and then the people who start that stuff, And listen, the looting and the mainstream media is putting a fucked up twist on everything, as they always do. They're running around chasing protesters, but they're not showing, especially in Minneapolis, how many of those people that are doing the looting are white. There's a bunch of them, and throwing rocks and being destructive, and it's one way that change does happen, but this is not organized. None of it is organized, and because of the disorganization of it, eventually, and the same with Los Angeles, in the 1990s, it'll blow over, and people do not know. They don't know how to create change. They don't know that it's going to create that unity among black people has to change. We're not going to get saved by them, y'all. This stuff will go on and 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 on. And the only difference between now and the 1990s, it never stopped. It's just the invention of these fucking smartphones and the video cameras that are inside of them. That is the only thing. That is the only difference between what was going on during the civil rights movement, what was going on before then, what was going on after then, and what's been going on in between the civil rights movement. And now is the invention of these fucking cameras that people can shoot this stuff, but it doesn't matter. They still get away with this, even being filmed. Even if their body cams were working, they get away with it. They've got police unions, folks, that are very bent on keeping these guys employed. And so are the DAs, and so are the mayors, and so are the governors, and so is this political system, this government systemic racism system, white supremacy system, is going to keep this stuff going ad nauseum, affinity. It's not going to stop in America. What's going to change things? I don't know if I've said this before. I probably have on camera. That I now believe integration was a mistake. Things are segregated anyway, but what has integration gotten us? Nothing. It's gotten us closer to the people that are ignoring us, which is mostly everybody except black people are ignoring us and ignoring our struggle. The people who need to stop ignoring it are us. See, we don't have infrastructure to change the way things are. And I got the thrill of my life last week before all this shit broke out again in another state. Georgia just had Ahmaud killed. Then it moved somewhere else. And then it moved somewhere else. I mean, it's just moving around the country and people are filming it. But so what? That doesn't make a difference. Okay. So last week, I got to see a documentary about reconstructing Black Wall Street. And while it's a great idea, implementing it is going to be interesting in these times. And why? Because of the wealth gap that is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger by design. They're trying to get way ahead of the game And I'm talking about large corporations and racist politicians, people in the government, the KKK, the militia, whatever, has been in our way for 450 years, is just trying to get ahead before the numbers change in 2043, around that year. Now, I'm going to be pretty old by the time that rolls around. As 20 years from now, I will be in my 80s. So I hope I live to see it. And I hope that this country doesn't just dissolve into total chaos and anarchy and civil war. And this time it won't be like any other kind of civil war there's ever been in this country. You know, they're race baiting us into a race war. That's from the idiot in Washington, D.C. and his base, and then all the silent people who probably speak up, and we don't know that they're not part of the idiot's base, but they are. Silence about what's going on complicitly points the finger at you that you don't care what's going on. And I'm saying this to black people too, more than anybody else. You know, I'm sitting watching two different groups of mine on two different platforms, and I'm sitting there watching them, their silence. They're normalizing what's going on, becoming desensitized to what's going on, and think, okay, if they party it away, they can just ignore it. Or if they shut down, they can just ignore what's going on. They don't think they have a part to play in this. Now, whenever anything goes on down in this country, I don't know if it's my wiring. I don't exactly know why, but I take that shit personally. I don't have to know George Floyd to have been splitting fucking mad about what happened and how that pig sat there and killed that man. Now, of course, right now they're trying to make totally trying to make a spin on it that he had pre-existing conditions. Then they switched it to, oh, he had a heart attack. Then they switch it. They're trying to set up a defense after charging that asshole with third-degree murder, which is nothing but manslaughter, when that was first-degree murder. Second degree at the least. Everybody in the world saw the look on that man's face as he was killing George Floyd. Everybody in the world saw it. I'm seeing articles as far away as Australia. I'm seeing articles coming out of the UK. I'm seeing articles all over the fucking place that have seen that video. He had his hands in his pockets, not a care in the world. He knew the unions would get him off. They knew even if they fired him, they could reinstate him at another time. And this butthead, what's the fuck his name? I'm sorry, you're gonna hear paper rustling. But the main guy the Leo that had his knee in George's neck had his hands in his pocket, and he's got a very, very, very long, ugly resume. He has killed people. He has used excessive force. He's killed Native Americans. He's killed black people. I mean, he's the typical guy, like the one who pulled that woman over on the side of the highway in Georgia and got scared that she got pulled over And the cop said, don't worry about it. Don't worry, you're not in any danger. We only kill black people. And what angers me the most is people who are always coming up with disclaimers. People who are in denial. People who set themselves up to say, no, we got it worse than you guys. No, we are like the Jews of the Holocaust, except this has been going on for 400 fucking years, 450 years, over 450 years. Telling me we're not resilient to be traumatized all the time and be on edge all the time in society. White people aren't on edge. Brown people are less on edge than us. Native Americans are less on edge than us, and definitely Asians are less anxious than we are. They're not hunting any of them down. They might kill them, but they're not lynching them like they're doing us in modern day lynching. And who's that asshole in D.C.? McConnell is sitting on a bill. Well, it's sitting in his bill graveyard. His graveyard of bills that he won't pass to the Senate that were approved of by the House. That's called the Willy Lynch Bill, where it would be a federal crime for all these local police or anybody else, vigilantes, whatever, to lynch black people, to kill them for reasons that they killed George Floyd over a $20 fucking bill. First they arrested him over that shit. And they don't know where he got that bill. He could have gotten that passed to him by somebody else. Listen, how many of you have ever dug in your pocket and pulled out some change, or dug in your purse and pulled out some change and found a phony coin in your pocket, or in your purse, or in your wallet? I have. Now, I don't know where I got it from. I mean, when you're moving around and buying this and buying that and people are giving you change, nobody stops to look at every single bill and every single coin in their pocket. So even them arresting him for that was ludicrous. Anyway, all the upset around that and the protesting around that is not just based on George Floyd. People are getting fed up by seeing it week in and week out, month in and month out, year in and year out. And Cittadini in Washington, D.C. has emboldened all these white people. Emboldened them. All of my life, I have never, ever seen the number of white people calling the police on us for bullshit, hoping that we get killed, jailed, abused, brutalized, just because they're pissed off about something that was said. Listen, the bird watcher guy, the guy that was watching birds in the Central Park, and they're calling her Central Park Karen, but her name is Amy Cooper. Her calling the police because he told her to put her dog on a leash, or asked her to. And the moment she started getting agitated, he turned on his phone. That woman put his life in danger, and she didn't give a shit. And she got fired, and her apology didn't address the fact that she put his life in danger, because she didn't like it that he told her to put her dog on a leash according to the rules of the park. I have never seen this level of animosity. We exist in hostile environment 24/7, 365 days a year. we are in hostile environment. And it's like they fail to realize we built the capitalistic system that all of these people are rich over. We built this country. Our ancestors built this place for freedom during slavery. And the economy that people are enjoying today is the economy that we built. This is our country. Just as much as it is yours, you white people. Just because you dominate in the numbers doesn't give you the right to say that this country doesn't belong to us as well as you. And what happened to George was inhumane. That pig treated him like a dog. And I'm just splitting mad about it. I'm mad enough. Should I have been flooding emails to Minneapolis, to that fucking DA Freeman, who is acting as his defense attorney instead of somebody who's prosecuting somebody who committed a crime. They were guarding his house. And they said they arrested him just to get everybody to stop burning that bitch down in Minneapolis. They say they arrested him. I ain't seen no arrest. I ain't seen no pictures of him being in handcuffs. I sure not haven't seen no mugshots. They're passing around pictures of the guy. That it isn't a mugshot. A mugshot, he's gonna have numbers stuck up to his chest that he's in jail. I don't believe he is. So you know what? This stuff is gonna go on and on and on. They're going to find a reason to excuse him. Giving him third-degree murder charges is bullshit. And most people know it. Anybody with any kind of intelligence can go out and research this stuff. And I'm not saying that it's appropriate or inappropriate to burn down businesses. Businesses are not as important as human life that supports those businesses. They got insurance. They'll build the places back. What they're protesting about is the inhumane treatment of black people. And there's no doubt in my mind that there's people in that crowd that's not what they're there for. They're there just to tag along, to take advantage of what's going on right now. Yeah, I saw a whole bunch of white people looting stores that got vandalized during these protests. And we got to get stronger. We've got to unite. We've got to create Black Wall Streets all over America and separate from these fools. They don't want us around, so we need our own community, but we're going to have to build it up because the government, we don't want the government's help. We don't want their help. If they get in the middle of it, they're going to be infiltrators and snoopy and sneaky and spying on what we're doing. So we don't want them there. That's why I don't allow white people in my group. That's why I don't allow any other kind of person in my organization. They wouldn't be able to handle what we talk about without being fragile. And I vet out black people who are there for the wrong reasons. Sure do. I don't let them in. So, it's keeping the numbers low, especially on the platform that I moved the front end to, because it is an internet-based business. And I'm getting closer and closer to finding people who will help me prosecute this as an antitrust violation on Fuckerbook's part, where the majority of people are. And where I was getting the majority of my constituents in the business. On Fucker Book they're called members, but I don't particularly like that word members, especially if they're not contributing to the business. They're not members of a nonprofit if they're not contributing to the business. So I had to create another word for what they are, and for now it's constituents, but even then that's kind of a political word. And my business is not political. It's more social justice than it is political. And just to get people to calm down about each other and fighting for being black first without regard to your gender or your sexuality. Except you got to be a man or a woman. It's like you do in the military. There's none of this gender non-conforming, non-binary bullshit going on in my group. And I get requests from time to time that are chewing me out about that, and I do not care. They don't understand that we have to empower ourselves, and they're not doing it. They ain't doing it. No other race of people in this country is doing that for us. We've got to do it for ourselves. So we've got to empower ourselves and build the infrastructure ourselves. In the face of racism is not going anywhere. So we got to have a sense of humor. We've got to keep our wits about us. We've got to take care of our mental health. We've got to do all of that stuff despite the fact that this is not going to stop. Unless all the white people die. They don't stop. But, that's a pipe dream. That ain't going to happen. Or, shit, maybe, hey, they can go back to Europe. They can afford it more than we can afford to go somewhere else. Back to Africa, whatever. If they weren't so phobic in Africa, I'd be trying to figure out a way to go. I would. But I ain't trying to get my treatments for being transgender taken away, because they have none out there. None. The doctors are afraid to treat transgender people because, society out there would frown on those doctors and probably mess with their licenses if they prescribed HRT, and they definitely don't have any kind of surgeries going on for us out there. Those people have to go to Europe or somewhere else to get surgeries, but they can't even get on a steady regimen of HRT, and it's the expense of it is ridiculous out there. It's like 100 times more than it is for us here per month. So unless I could take my resources with me, being disabled and being a disabled veteran and all that stuff, I'm not considering Africa at this time. But I just wanted to jump on here. I'm not in the best of spirits because this stuff is just... Seeing Jim Crow being enacted twice in a lifetime is disgusting. You couldn't have told me as an elder that I would be seeing this again. And it makes me wonder what all of the other people that are my age and older are thinking and feeling about seeing this again. I'm not close enough to any of them to know what they're thinking. I guess I could make some phone calls and make inquiries. But you know what? If they were really pissed off and upset about it, they would be calling. Because they know how I am. They know I'm right in the thick of it. So they would be calling and checking on me and getting in a conversation with me about how they feel, about how I feel, blah, 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 about what I'm doing, da-da-da-da-da. But most of my relatives that are older are too afraid of me being transgender. So, I'm talking about this with my therapist about how I am caught between worlds. And I've said this in other videos. But there's an addition to all of the things that I'm experiencing being caught between worlds. And that is, I don't even feel like a part of the transgender community. Not even the black ones, because they're hiding from being black, and I'm not. Yeah, they're hiding. They're getting wrapped up in a lot of other things that have nothing to do with activism of black people being black and transgender. They're hiding behind the safety net of being transgender while still being murdered. The transgender women, black transgender women, are being murdered for being transgender women. But they're not talking about this. We got to talk about this. You got to tell the truth. That's where it starts. That's where it starts. Not me. When I can't do it all by myself, I'm going to be gone. I'm building up to pass the torch is what I'm doing at this time. Because I know I'm not going to be around to see my vision actualized. Maybe a little bit, but not full out. So it's going to have to be the youth. It's going to have to be younger people that get up off the pot, get off their asses, get off their whining, get off all of that stuff, and make something happen. Don't just talk, hashtag. I am so sick of that shit. That does nothing. Signing these petitions does nothing. Nothing. These petition websites, all they are open you up to create. Their main aim is to get donations. And I don't know what they're doing with the money, except paying their salaries. They're certainly not giving it to the people that are creating petitions. And they want you to do all the legwork. They ain't helping you with shit. They're just providing you the platform, the software, the website, in order for you to go file a petition. But you got to get all the people to sign. And you have to contact all the decision makers yourself. So you gotta belong to an organization or some kind of other social group or whatever to circulate that thing enough to get thousands of votes. And I've seen some petitions that had hundreds of thousands of votes. I've seen some that had double-digit thousands of votes. Nothing ever happened for them. They didn't win. If the Color of Change even did a statistics on how many things actually changed as a result of filing petitions on those websites, I bet the ratio would be real small. Like for one for every 100 petitions, actually something happens. Fucking waste of time, because there's a lot of work you have to do. We don't have the political connections, government connections, all the connections that could make all that shit change. Transformation in this world right now, and especially in this country, looks like a mountain. How are you going to transform a bunch of ignorant ass people who don't want to transform? You can't transform people who don't want to be transformed. You can't. They have to have some kind of built-in reason, like a job or some shit that is, and money is involved. And then you have, organizations and businesses like Landmark, but, they're only maybe 8 million. Was it 8 million? Okay, I'm not going to say those numbers. But there's 7 billion people on the planet. And as long as that business has been alive, I think they've only serviced 8 million people. And those 8 million people are all going off in different directions, where they're not addressing this either. Systemic racism and oppression. They're not addressing it, which has me holding back a little bit, or maybe even a lot, with that organization, with that business. I'm sorry, it's not an organization, it's a business. But as long as they want to turn a blind eye on this problem, I don't trust them fully. As long as they want to call somebody who calls out racism a racist, we ain't got nothing to talk about. Or say it doesn't exist, it's a social norm. Well, there's a lot of evidence, there's too much proof that it's reality for us. It is real. The feelings we have and the anxiety we have every day is real. And the ones that don't have it is just because they're ignoring it and they're whitewashed and trying to placate them. I ain't trying to placate them. So it really sticks out like a sore thumb for me. That's not why I'm around there. I'm not around there to placate their emotions. Their fragile fucking white tear emotions. I'm not there for that reason. But I told him that, basically, that you don't want me to go any further in this business because I would stir shit up. And they knew I meant it when I said it. So it didn't bother me no more. Like, nah, you don't want me to become, you don't want someone like me to go further in this business, because all I would do is stir it up. Make you stop saying this shit doesn't exist, or not even have a seminar about it, led by black people. Led by black people. White people can't lead this. They're in denial. Most of them. Brown people are in denial about us. Native Americans are in denial about us. Asians are in denial about us. And white people are the biggest piece of denial on the planet about us. I wrote an article, and in it, I'm writing little stories about my life. I talk about my mother demanding they had a Black History class in my junior high school. Instant fail. A white man did not know how to lead a Black History class. What did he know about Black history? Nothing. The first thing he did was try to embarrass me. He called me to the front of the room. He had a newspaper open, and he called me to the front of the room and asked if I knew somebody in that newspaper that was black. And I said, no, why would I? No, I don't know him. And I felt flushed and embarrassed that he would even ask me that shit. So I went back to my chair, and within 5 minutes I raised my hand. And he called me back up to the front of the room, and I grabbed the newspaper, I opened it to some random white person in there, and I pointed at it and said, do you know him? And his face turned bright red. The students started laughing, and I just turned around. I know I had probably a look on my face, and I just, looked at him like, see how ridiculous that question was when you asked it to me? And I'd throw it right back at you. And I went and sat down while the class was still laughing at him. Of course, I went home and told my mom, and she came and destroyed and shut the class down because they didn't know what they were doing. Therefore, if we're in a business that has white people in it, and they want transformation of racism, we have to lead those seminars. Period. And that's why they don't have any. Because I doubt that they would create one that way and make it all run. The only person up there leading and teaching is a black person who knows they're fucking black. Not a white supremacist black person, but a black person who loves his people and himself or herself or themselves. Can't be one of these people they pull out of their ass like Candace Owen type people. You know, they're kissing up. They don't love themselves as black people. They're white black. Back in my day, they call them Oreo cookies. Coons, I never heard that word when I was growing up. I hear it now. Uncle Tom, which, you know what? That story about Uncle Tom has been taken out of context, and black people use it as they sling it at each other. When it's not, Uncle Tom was not as people portray it, somebody that doesn't know they're black. Anyway, it's the weekend, so for most people, a lot of people, they're not working, so their days are all blending together like mine do all the time. Half the time I don't even know it's the weekend. I don't know what day it is. I have to look at my calendar every day to know what day it is. So everybody stay safe. You know, this shit is all going down in the middle of a pandemic. And I'm thinking a lot of these people that are getting too close to each other during these protests are going to be dragging this virus around. These are very unusual times, folks. Christians would say that the end is near, and revelations is happening. No doubt about it, things are shifting, and I don't know what it's going to look like. You know, this never going to be the same again, because corporations are taking advantage of this pandemic to squash small businesses, which were the foundation of this country. Can you imagine what the foundation of this country is going to look like if monopolies are the foundation? It's happening, people, right in front of your face. It's happening. The Amazons, the Microsofts, the Facebooks, the Motorola's, all of the major players right now want to run the show and be the backbone. Google, oh my God. All these people with eyes everywhere putting equipment in your house that's listening to you and watching you in your home. Everybody's buying that shit up like it's just hotcakes. I don't think I have anything in here. I got to check out some of the settings of my TV, but my TV's like 4 or 5 years old to see if it's listening. But anything that says Alexa, I don't turn it on. Anything that says it's listening, I don't turn it on. I be checking my equipment to see if that's happening. I don't want that Big Brother George Orwell 1984 to be in my house. Nah. But some people don't care. You know, they don't care if someone's watching them run around the house naked. And they don't care if anybody's listening to all of their conversations. But all of these major players are moving into that era. Facial recognition software. I got every fucking website on the planet messing with my browsers because I've got too many lockdowns on my browsers and they hate it. They want to verify who I am. And this shit just started a week ago. Everybody, all the websites around the internet are doing this. Anyway, boy, I started out talking about one thing and ended up talking about something completely different. That's fucking typical when I don't make videos on a regular basis. It can be argued that I can't become a successful YouTube content creator if I don't do it on a regular basis. But folks, this takes a lot to do, a lot out of me to do, and there's just times when I just don't freaking feel like talking to people. The last few months during this lockdown has really taken its toll on me. So everybody stay safe, stay well. If you're sick, get help. And the pollinator is out.